Hi there, this is Nicole from Right at Home, and today I'm doing a how-to video for our brand new Layered Rainbow Stencil set. Layered Rainbow is a 6 by 9 inch stencil set with 5 pieces. Up in the top corner we have an etching of our logo and the name of the stencil, and down in the bottom center of the stencil we have an etching with the number 1, and this indicates that this is the first layer in the set. These numbers are on all 5 stencils. When you look at the second stencil, you'll see that there are etchings of the rays from the first layer there. These are there to help you align the stencil before inking. Those etchings are on the second through fifth layer of the set. I'm going to show you how these work when we get started on our backgrounds. I'm starting here with a piece of white cardstock that is slightly larger than my stencil, and I'm going to tape down my stencil over top using our ink blending washi tape. For my first layer, I'm going in with Hero Arts bubblegum ink, and I'll be blending that on using a blending brush. I decided at this point to put some scratch paper underneath so that the ink doesn't get everywhere, and now I'll be able to show you how to use those etchings on the second stencil layer. So here I'm just showing you my personal stencil and how there's ink stains in the little etchings, but I did want to let you know that you can still use them easily when the stencil is brand new. You simply look through the stencil and line up the rays that you already inked on the panel with the etchings on the stencil. And make sure to look at all the rays all around the stencil so you make sure it's as perfectly aligned as possible. Then you can tape it down using your washi tape and move on to adding your next color. Here I used Hero Arts Pale Tomato. For the third layer, I'll do the exact same process, but I'll be lining up the etchings with the ones we just inked in red. And again, these etchings are on all the stencils after the first layer. I'm going in with yellow here, which is Butter Bar by Hero Arts. Next I'm using Mint Julep by Hero Arts for a light tealish green color. And lastly, I'll use Tide Pool, also by Hero Arts. And here's the final background with all the rays inked up. I love how the rays go all the way to the edge of this panel, so you're able to add as much color to your card as possible. Really quickly here, I just wanted to show you how I clean the stencils. You want to be careful as the stencils are pretty delicate. I try to follow the direction of the rays and hold parts of it down with my other hand so it doesn't get scrunched up and bent. For my second background, I'm going to use a more limited color palette. For my first ray, I'll be using Spun Sugar Distress Ink. And for this background, I'm going to be doing a different inking technique where I concentrate the color towards the bottom of the ray and lightly blend out the color to the top of the ray. This just creates a different look that adds more dimension and interest to the background. It also helps create a more subtle backdrop for your card projects. When I peel the stencil off, you can see what I'm talking about, how the color is bolder at the bottom of the rays and lighter at the top of the rays. Here I'm just lining out my second stencil before I go in with my dark pink, which is Picked Raspberry Distress Ink. I think with the darker ink colors, it's a bit easier to see the blending of color from dark to light. For the third ray, I'm going in with mustard seed distress ink at first, and then I'm adding a little fossilized amber on the bottom just to deepen that color. Since I'm only using 3 different colors on this background, I will be repeating 2 of them for the last 2 layers. So here I'm using spun sugar again, and for the final layer I'll use picked raspberry. And here's the final background. You can see how the color is deeper at the bottom and lighter at the top, almost as if the rays are disappearing into the sky behind some clouds. For this last background, I'm going to show you how you can use 7 different ink colors to complete a full rainbow. To do this, we will be inking up each ray individually. First, I'm going in with picked raspberry, and I'll just be inking up the first little ray there in the center. Once you add the ink, you're going to want to wipe off the excess ink on the stencil with a cloth, since we will be going in with a different color for our next ray. This will make sure that you don't contaminate the color of your next ray. For the second ray in the middle there, I'll have to do a little counting to figure out which color that will need to be once all the other rays are added. So this stencil set has 5 layers, so before this middle ray there will be 5 rays total. The pink ray is the first one, and there will be another 4 before reaching this middle ray, making it the 6th ray in the rainbow. So now that I know that this is the 6th ray, I counted on my ink cubes above, and the 6th color is blue. So that's what I went with. This first layer is the only one that you have to do a little math for, as you'll be able to use the rays you already inked as a guide for what color comes next on the next stencil layers. Again, I'm just wiping off that excess blue ink, and to find my next color, I'll be counting out 6 from the blue ink to get my next ray, which is mustard seed. So when you're doing this, you want to use the color you just inked, so whatever color cube that is, as number 1, and then count 5 more from there. And I hope this all makes sense. And then, like I mentioned, once you've done that first layer, you'll be able to use the rays that you just inked as a guide for what color comes next. So for the little ray there in the center, the first one was pink, so we know red comes next. And I used Candied Apple Distress Ink for that ray. After the blue, we have purple, which I used Wilted Violet Distress Ink for. And then after the mustard seed ray, we will have green, which I used Twisted Citron Distress Ink. And for the remaining 3 layers, you'll just want to complete the same process until you've filled in all the white space with rays. Here's what the final panel looks like with a full spectrum of rainbow color. This one takes a little bit longer to achieve, but I definitely think that the final result is worth it. Here's a look back at the 3 panels that we created. We have the first background here, which uses 5 different ink colors, 1 for each layer. The second background, which uses just 3 colors and a fun inking technique that adds dimension and interest. And our last background, which incorporates a full rainbow color palette. I hope you enjoyed this how-to video for our layered rainbow stencil set that is now available on our website at www.writeathomeshop.com. Let me know what you think of this stencil in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel before you leave. Bye!